Good evening. I am in Gower right now, which is a part of Wales, and it's designated by the UK government as an area of outstanding natural beauty. So I just thought I'd come to this part and talk about energy and vibes. So have you ever had this situation where you've heard of things like energy and vibes, and you've just thought it's a bit woo-woo and it's a bit weird? Like, there's no such thing as energy, it's all science. And I'm a big believer in science, and what I'm going to talk about in this video is deconstruct that idea of a vibe, deconstruct that idea of energy, and talk about what places like these do to you. So when you are in a place like this, what's happening is you're enjoying the natural beauty. What it's also doing is it's raising your state of mind. So states of consciousness is what you could call it. But I'm going to go a bit deeper into it, and I'm going to talk about why there might be some truth in it. Now, of course, for the most part, I'm not saying that something like law of attraction works. I'm not saying you just think about it and things just manifest themselves. But there is some truth to the idea of energy and vibe. So for example, when you're in this beautiful place like this, what happens is you're breathing there's some research on plants releasing some chemicals that we are breathing when we are in this natural space like that. When you look at the vastness of the ocean like that, you think of how sort of small you are. And what all of this collectively does is it raises our level of energy. Now, I'm going to put some footage here. In the evening, I'm going to go to Cardiff, where it's going to be nightlife. I'm living on the high street, and you'll be able to contrast it. You'll be able to contrast how you feel here versus how you feel when there is nightlife going around. Here you have these beautiful trees growing around, you have the sky, you have all sorts of natural beauty going along. And then you'll go at night where you find people who are drunk, who are crashing into each other. And what it is fundamentally, these are two different energetic states. So when we think about emotional intelligence, we are thinking about our own emotions. We are thinking about emotions in isolation. However, what we should also think about is what are the surroundings around us. So when we are in certain emotional states, we are attracted to certain things. So when you're feeling inspired, when you're feeling alive, you may be attracted to energetic states like these, which are fascinating and beautiful, and they light you up. You don't need any hallucinogenic, some sort of a drug to make you feel alive. Whereas a lot of times we seek states of inspiration when we are going to nightclubs or when we are going to bars and when we drink. First thing to realize here is there is indeed different states of consciousness. There is indeed different places to go. The rut we are stuck in day-to-day life isn't what something we should be stuck in. There is places like this where we could visit just to feel a bit more inspired, just to feel a bit more alive, just to raise and climb that ladder of consciousness, so to speak. So the next point I'm going to try to make is this is very close to what gets to the purpose of life, which is our minds is all we have, and so therefore our emotions is all we have. And so raising and climbing this ladder of consciousness is as close as it gets to living life fully. It gets as close to the purpose of life fully. And the final point I want to hit at in this video is the point of morality. And so once we have this hierarchy of states of consciousness, and there are various people who have come up with maps of consciousness. So for example, David Hawkins has this very famous states of consciousness where he talks about enlightenment or love as being at more on the top, and apathy perhaps, and just state of grumpiness being at the bottom. So various people, the Buddhists have their own maps of consciousness where they talk about heavenly realms. And you could argue that heaven and hell are also referring implicitly to these maps of consciousness. They are not some metaphysical states. Heaven is not this place that you go to, but in fact it's a state of consciousness. And the same you could argue with other religions like Islam, where there are states that you could access. And so the final point I want to make is that of morality, which is how do you do good in the world? What is it like to be good? What is it like to be a good person? And I think when you think about it in terms of consciousness, when you think about it in terms of these places of beauty and internal places of beauty that we could go to, I think morality and doing good in the world boils down to making others climb this ladder of consciousness and the ladder of well-being. If you don't like the word consciousness, I'm not that particular about it. Call it well-being, call it mental health. But there is indeed a ladder to be climbed, and it's not just, nothing matters. It's not just nihilism, and it's not relativism either. It's not just that, when I'm in the office, it's the same state of consciousness that when I'm here. It is different, and there is something to be strived for here. There is something to be pursued here. And there is something to be tuned into here. Life is indeed worth living, and visiting places like this is a reminder of that worthiness, of that beauty, and of that magnificence of life. So hopefully this video helps deconstruct a bit about what vibe or energy might mean, especially when we are in these beautiful places like these. It doesn't have to be nature. It could be like you're visiting this beautiful cathedral and you see the carvings and the beauty with which the murals are made or the building is designed with, and you have to think about what is the level of intention and the level what's going on in people's mind when they're thinking of a design like that, thinking of that building like that, some great architecture. And you have to think about the various intentions of every single worker that went into making something beautiful like that. So the intention and the coordination that's required of many people to create a beautiful building. And of course, this place in nature is of course not built, but it definitely attracts a certain state of mind and it puts you into a certain state of mind. This whole video was impromptu. So I'm going to wrap this video. My friend and cameraman here, I don't want to strain his hands too much, but hopefully this added some value to your life. Hopefully, yeah, I'm just like now in completely distorted states, but hopefully it taught you something about energy and something about climbing that ladder of energy, and hopefully it made you believe that there is indeed something to be strived for in this life, something that takes you up and down and something that makes life beautiful and worth living. This is Sankar signing off.